Maya thought that her mother-in-law could drive a saint crazy with her behaviour. Mrs. Walker was always unhappy with everything and openly told her daughter-in-law that she had a nasty temper. In general, Maya never understood why her mother-in-law couldn't stand her. Maya's husband hadn't lived with his mother for a long time, and besides, until not long ago, her mother-in-law had had her own great life, a house, a husband, and then suddenly her husband met another woman and divorced her, kicked her out of his house. Mrs. Walker didn't think twice about asking her son for help. Maya got a bit upset and even angry because she had never seen any warm feelings or even elementary politeness from her mother-in-law. But it was a son's duty to help his mother in a difficult situation, and Maya and her husband began to think what to do. If the mother-in-law rented a place and asked her son to pay for everything, it would have led to an unclear amount of money for the family. And they had every penny to count, since Maya recently gave birth to a baby son and did not work. That's why Maya offered her mother-in-law to live in her apartment, which she had inherited from her grandmother. Maya rented it out, and it was a significant contribution to the family's budget. At first, everyone was happy with the compromise. The mother-in-law was rearranging her life and thinking about her destiny. But she quickly got settled in, and then reverted to her former behaviour when everyone around her owed her everything. She was not happy with the apartment. The washing machine was too noisy, the bed was too hard, the neighbours were too loud, the dishwasher was old, and it would be nice to renovate the rooms. Maya tried not to pay attention to this because she didn't expect her mother-in-law to burst out in gratitude, but she hoped that at least she wouldn't be scolding the apartment where she lived for free, paying only the utilities. But soon the woman decided that even the utilities should be paid by her son. But he refused and said that he did not have any extra money, and it was really true. Then mother-in-law turned to the topic that her dear son had no money for his poor mother because he had a sponger on his neck, and that was Maya. The fact that Maya was sitting out of work because she was caring for a 6-month-old baby did not change the picture in Mrs. Walker's eyes. She saw her daughter-in-law as a slacker who sat on her husband's neck. She often cited in conversations the examples of her acquaintances who managed to work while on maternity leave and not force her husband to drag everything alone. Maya listened to these conversations for 6 months, and then her patience ran out. She once said to her mother-in-law, "You know, your words have finally reached my heart. I decided that I was no longer going to hang on my husband's neck as a burden, but to bring in income. Since I am untalented in comparison to those women who have time on maternity leave to be with the child and clean and cook and earn a lot of money, then my income will be passive. That is, I will rent out my grandmother's apartment. Yes, the very same one where my mother-in-law is so uncomfortably housed now. What else can I do? It's hard for my husband. Mother-in-law can continue to rent the apartment. I will even give her a discount as a relative. Or she can leave the apartment if these conditions are not good for her. I will give her 3 weeks to move out. During this time, she may find an apartment where she will be happy. Another question is whether she has enough money for that. But I'm not interested in that anymore, because I'm tired of being a burden on my husband's neck." The husband, to whom Mrs. Walker rushed after this, threw up his hands and said that the apartment was Maya's, and she could use it as she wished. He also told her the amount of money he could allocate to her without affecting his own family. He and Maya had discussed this amount a long time ago, and Maya had never been against it. Her husband was an adult, hard worker, and he should help his mother as much as possible, but not to the detriment of his family and child. Of course, Mrs. Walker still had many scandals about what she thought was a paltry help, but Maya was determined to bring money into the family while she took care of the baby. "My husband's mother is right," she thought, smiling. "I shouldn't sit on my man's neck. Thank her for teaching me that."